Greetings. This video is about Mary Had a Little Lamb, figure A5 on page 258 for the double bass. Now, for the other instruments, I put this song in the sequence as a way for them to get the finger tunnel going so that they're standing their fingers tall, they can hear the open A ring, and while they're keeping their second or third finger down on the cello. But for bass, we have to put fourth finger down and then first. Now, some of your students might be able to do this. I think it's one of those things where it can be hard to reach at first. One of the tricks, this is in one of the other videos, but I'll show it again in case you haven't seen the bass face concept. Put your second finger here, your ring finger on your upper lip, your pinky on your bottom lip, and put your index finger in between your eyebrows, and isn't that look great? And you take it away, and that's your bass face. That's your bass hand. Notice that the first finger extends back. It looks a little bit like a cello extension hand shape all the time on the bass, and that allows you to reach that first finger, and so bass players tend to get the callus kind of on the side there. So now here, the idea is you can keep your fourth finger down while you reach back and get that one. Now, I know that some kids can't reach that yet, and so you don't want them to get all tensed up and get a lot of pain up in their arms. So they can just release and keep it nearby. So I like to say, well, keep it over the fingerboard. If you can't, keep it down. See, and then you can just go back to it. So that's absolutely fine for Mary Had a Little Lamb. And we can start using Mary Had a Little Lamb to extend the bow stroke a little. So it's a nice little simple song, so that's why it's there. All right, so Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. It puts us after we've done Up and Down the Ladder, we've done Bylum Cabbage Down, Mary Had a Little Lamb, Rock and Roll Bow. We're ready for Twinkle. And the thing that's interesting about Twinkle on the bass is that it's different than anybody else because you've got first and fourth finger instead of open and one. So just got to make sure the bass players are the only ones who really have to deal with placing a finger on that second note. So you just want to check to make sure they've got first finger on the first finger tape, fourth on the fourth finger tape, and that their thumb is there behind the second finger. If you're an orchestra teacher and you've got your bass players are usually far away from you, and one way is that if you can see that thumb, if you see that thumb kind of sneaking around there, if you can see their thumbs from where you're standing, out of position, hide your I don't want to see your thumbs. So there we go. Then open, right? And then fourth. So you just have to be careful when if you're a teacher that likes to talk in finger numbers. Of course, your cellists are going to be slightly different, right? But your bass players are a lot different. So you just want to keep that in mind. Now, when you get to the theme and you're extending the bow stroke a little. Watch, I think it sounds on a lot of basses, you're going to sound a little better in bowing lane 2 when you're doing an open string, and then your changes into a brighter sound, and that's okay. I mean, we're going to learn to play there and slow our bow down because the string can handle more resistance there, and that's great. But this sounds okay too. Just watch when your bass players that they're keeping it parallel to the bridge, and then when they cross. So what happens sometimes is this, when students cross, and you've got to remind them, my first bass teacher, Ed Krolik, used to say, raise the tip, okay? And that helped. Tip towards the wall, I've seen that one. Now there's some basic things that happen with the bass because the bass is so big. If you're leaning it way back like this, then it can make it harder to get that angle because then you have to really lean down, right? So it's finding that balance, and you don't want to be over too far because you're going to lose the bass, but you want to have it where you can reach the G string easily and clear. If it's too far inward like this, it makes it great to play on the G. Super easy to play on the G, but I'm not going to clear my leg on the E string. So a lot of bass playing is just finding that balance between where that instrument can be so that you can reach all the strings. So now if you would like to give your bass players a little bit something extra to do while you're teaching Twinkle, I'm going to show you Twinkle, Twinkle 7 shifts. This is a little bit later in the book. It's a little later in the book on page 276. But the way this works is you do the whole first two measures on the D string. So you start with your hand up here in the neck block in 4th position. Then when you play open G, you shift your hand back. And this is a great, very bass-friendly shift to introduce. It's large, but they've got the neck block. You see, I come right down, my thumb's right there, and so it's really a much easier shift than this 3rd position shift, which is just kind of out here in the middle of nowhere. And in many method books, that's the first shift bass players get. So introducing them to this shift early is going to really be beneficial for them. So there it is, and then open, and then come back. Now this is where I come up here just to grab the A, and then the G is open. Then I do it again. And then open. Back. Then open. And we come back. So that can be a real fun thing for the bass players. It's a little different. It's not that hard for them to do, and it gets them used to the idea of shifting because they're special. Bass players are going to be shifting way sooner than anybody else, and they're going to be shifting a lot more. So that's a way to introduce bass players to that concept while you're learning Twinkle. Okay, I'll see you in the next video.